living a TikTok life. Welcome back, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Thank you for waiting patiently. The floor is yours. Go ahead, ma'am.
First, I want to say thank you. This is definitely one of the most pivotal conversations coming out of the context of that particular interview. Interesting, but it's a wonderful platform that you're hosting this conversation on. So, that part, I want to say thank you and for allowing me to submit my 2 cents of opinion. I find the statistics and the numbers of data and research to be weirdly untrustworthy. I live in San Francisco. I live in San Francisco proper. So it's not like I live in the Bay Area. I live in San Francisco. Two 2 blocks from the Ferry Building and what they used to call the Financial District, which is now Homeless Haven. With that being said, our hourly wage for people who are still at an hourly wage is state mandated at $22 an hour. So I don't know how those wage specifics. I mean, I heard 36,000. I was like, wait, where would that be? Um, I found his conversation to be a different type of pivot. And by that, I mean this. You're talking about someone who catapulted their life in a very slow but moving trajectory from a depth of poverty to a very well off, wealthy lifestyle over a period of time. And what I gained from that conversation was there has to be a negotiation between the partners of a relationship. And a lot of it can't be based on opinions about wealth or money exchanges. It has to be surrounded by other factors. I think sometimes people have, and this is an I statement, not a we, not a collective race, not a collective culture. A lot of people make pivotal decisions about relationships based on what they observe in a non-realistic format, such as social media. I do believe that high value for me is an allotment of a whole human being, not just their wage or their compensation earning packages. I say that from a world of travel and from living in several places with a full-fledged career as well as a very functioning business model. I would also caution against being advised about how to steer your relationship components from anyone. Your heart is going to make a decision that your private parts may not agree with. Your head will make a decision that all parts of your emotional, physical components will probably fight upstairs like a Jerry Springer show, throwing chairs and tables. And that'd be just between you and your own mental axis of how you deal with that. Because there are things in a relationship that money just won't solve. It just will not solve it. To base an entire relationship on a component such as money is a huge fallacy. Money does not fix everything. Money is not going to buy you class. Money does not change the person that you are. And I can say, as someone who has earned their way on 2 sides of a coin, legal and illegal, no matter how much money you make, you will never make up for another human being's deficits. You can live a lifestyle that presents a front-facing value while having a home front deficit. You can have the cars, you can have the house, you can have the money, you can build the wealth. It will never fix the lack of in a human being. So what you see as high value may never be a compensatory value add to your life. You will sacrifice something, and that money is not going to fill that hole. I can say, as a woman of color, threatening me with dying alone is not the worst thing. I'm just going to be honest. I have no problems riding in first class on an international flight by myself. That is not a scary place to go. I also have no problem going to restaurants and flying in for dinner by myself. So threatening someone with that being alone thing, that is a myth. No one is afraid to die alone. It is emotional disconnect that doesn't really work anymore, except for people who have a mental deficit or a financial deficit. Being alone is not a scary thing. Being with someone and you want to be alone, that's been a constant catchphrase from my childhood all the way up. My dad used to say it. My mom used to say it, and they drilled it home. The worst thing you could do is be with somebody and wish you were alone. That is horrible. It's something that everybody have to work out for themselves. I feel like Tyler Perry has made a balance in his life to deal with whatever deficit somebody has, because he can now do that with a financial pivot that most of us haven't seen. If you have the wherewithal, the financial wealth to ignore somebody's deficits, that's exactly what you do. You throw money at a problem and you move on. For the people who are nitpicking, categorizing, subjectifying other communities based on an overall group-like statement of the women say this or the men say that, I would only have to say one thing: expand your circle. It is not the constant conversation of every Black woman what a Black man's deficits are. There are some conversations that the women in my circle look at as, these are poor people conversations. These are poor people conversations. And I don't mean poor people as far as finances go. I mean poor people that are mentally entertained by BS, by Weed TV, by the Tubi channel. These are poor people conversations. People that are enlightened about the rest of their life. We have better conversations with better content over larger topics. People of color are only entertained by things that are motivating or life-changing. If you feel like Krishan and Rock Fate, who is that? I'm going to mess that name up. The boy with the drawing on his face.
Blueface.
Yes, I'm so wrong. I'm so sorry. But if you feel like that content is motivating, you need to look at your life. Look at your life. Because everyone is not hosting a conversation about Black men on a negative scale every single day of the week. And if that's the constant narrative that you're focused on, you'll find it because you're looking for it. If your circle isn't hosting a conversation that plugs into you and feels like electricity running through your vein and give you some level of support, you're in the wrong circle. Change the room. Move the narrative. Move the needle. Because that is not the constant conversation of an entire race of people. You're never going to convince me that Black people are somewhere in a secret room holding a conversation on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis about Black men, about baby mamas, about welfare. That is not the majority. That isn't even half. Not in my circle, not in the people I know, not in the rooms that I slide into on Clubhouse just to host a little bit of a conversation. That's not it. The bigger picture, the bigger narrative is, what is the room that you're in doing for you? And if you're in a room where this is a constant narrative, yes, you're going to feel some kind of way. You're going to feel browbeating. You're going to feel dismembered. You're going to feel unmotivated. You're going to feel criticized, ostracized, crucified. You're going to feel that because you won't leave that room. And it's like a dog laying on a nail on a porch. At some point, that dog is going to quit howling and get off the nail, or he's going to lay there to continue to get attention. Am I struck or stuck by some of these conversations where there's the antics of Black women talking about, I got hit with a brick, or I got this, or this happened to me, or I was kidnapped? No, I'm not. That was her. That was her scenario. That was her fun time. Are there repercussions for that? Good. Are we all tired of people crying wolf? I'm sure we are. It doesn't hit any different when somebody Caucasian does it, Asian does it, Black does it. It's the same BS narrative. People are genuinely sick of it. Am I tired of hearing about prejudice? Am I tired of hearing about racism? And am I tired of hearing about LinkedIn? I'm tired of a couple of things, but I changed the narrative by moving the room. The minute the conversation moves across the narrative that I am not interested in, that I am not willing to subject myself to, I move the room. Because I can't sit in a room and talk about high value people with a lowbrow conversation. I can't mix a conversation over finances, small business administration, industry changes, pivotal changes, education walkthroughs, curriculum, and then all of a sudden I'm going to talk about Blue Rock and Krishan. Those aren't in the same rooms. Those aren't in the same conversations. Those aren't the same. No. And I'm going to have a different conversation with every single person, whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're Asian, whether they're Indian. We're going to have different conversations, but I can guarantee you one thing. The minute that narrative turns into something that is deficit oriented, that conversation stops for me. I'm good. We're moving on. And if I have to hold a full-fledged meeting, a LinkedIn conversation with the person that my heart fell in love with about what his value add is to my life or what he's bringing to the table, I'm not in love with that person. I'm not in love with that person. I am infatuated. I'm a fan. I'm sitting around watching the Real Husbands, the Real Housewives, the Real Whoremongers, and I'm infatuated with that person based on what he looks like, what he's doing, and what he's entertaining. He might as well put some socks on and get up on a stripper pole because I'm more concerned with what his value add is. Really? As though I ever, as a whole human being, adult, don't have an already allocated, obligated responsibility to take care of my whole self. Because when did that become the exchange? When did the exchange become, oh, he needs to be high value. He needs to have 6 figures. He needs to take me here. He needs to take me there. But I had no obligation to do that prior to meeting him. Man or woman, don't ask for what you're not willing to give. Don't ask for what you don't already have. I was always told, if you have a habit, make that a part of your lifestyle. If you smoke, buy cigarettes, quit asking. If you smoke the other kind, stop asking. Handle your scandal. The problem is people have turned into these, here we go with the disrespect. These Munchausen, entitled, privileged, hand-peddling beggars. I have a visual, non-realistic lifestyle on the internet, and I need you to support it. Now, I'm not going to do anything, but I need you to support what you thought you saw, what you thought I had, what you assumed that belonged to me. No. Live the lifestyle that you want with the obligations to take care of it. Because whatever comes into that door shouldn't be a part of the entree. It should actually be a condiment to add on. I can't sacrifice my mental health based on what I am gauging, gambling, and waiting for someone to bring to me that I've never given myself. Now, I don't know what statistic, what research, what crowd you have to go to get that together. But you owe yourself. You owe you. You can't ask somebody to pivot their entire life, their entire income, their entire education, their entire parental structure of being a good human being to give to you. What are you going to do for yourself? That's the value add. Tyler Perry has brought a wife and a child into a scenario that he created all by himself. I don't know what that woman brought to his world. I don't know what her value add for him was. But I guarantee you one thing. Just as this conversation is opening up, he wasn't waiting for her to be able to afford it. He wasn't waiting for her to be accountable for a bill. Everybody wants somebody to come in and change their life. How about you change your own life and quit waiting on a lottery ticket? Quit waiting for somebody to satisfy some portion of you that you haven't even satisfied for yourself. Education is free, at least for the first 12 years. You can give a person a book, but I can't make you read it. I can give you a TV, but I can't tell you what to watch. Whatever entertains you will constantly be your downfall or your upbringing. It will motivate you or it will put you into a mental coma. But looking for a way in which to browbeat another human being based on what they have or don't have, that's the circle you hanging in. That's like I mean, not to put my business out there, I went from being in the cannabis game into the legal game. Here we go. If I had sat and waited for everyone that had something to say when it was illegal, waiting for that flip to turn, oh, I would feel some kind of way. I would literally feel some kind of way. Because everywhere along the way, somebody has said, oh, I would never hang out with a drug dealer. My, how the world has changed. It's different. I want to land this plane on a good note. Thank you for the conversation. I'm happy that you're opening the platform on it. But with every single person making a decision on what kind of partner they want in their life, if it's built on money, ask yourself, do you have it first? Thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Living a TikTok life. Nice talking to you again.